I'm Jason Campbell. I'm from the US. I grew up in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and live mostly in Miami now. I'm a hospitality consultant in the US and have a hotel and food and beverage background. So I came across Selina when I was on a trip around the world that started in 2016, and I had stayed at a hotel near Red Frog Beach, Selina, and had gotten my first experience with them there and started following them on social media and saw the road trip through them, as well as a former colleague of mine who we had spoken about Selina in the past, and he had also seen that they had launched the road trip, and so he had sent me the link as well. Selina for me is definitely experience driven. I do see it as quite a bit of a hotel product as well, albeit varied and a bit more modern and a different approach, where you have a variety of things under one roof. Your food and beverage, your nightlife, your co-working, your tours and activities, your accommodations, including shared rooms. So I think it's a very experience-driven, community-driven product for the next generation of travelers, including digital nomads, entrepreneurs, adventure seekers, but also can appeal to families and other generations as well that are looking for an affordable but social travel experience. It is different. It's very different. One is just the overall product. So the hotel in particular, the design of it, the activation of it, the service delivery of it. And then the other is what we had the opportunity to see during this trip is the actual corporate culture, if you will, of what the executive team looks like and how they speak and what their backgrounds are to the line level employees at the hotel too. They have done a really great job on design. I think they put a lot of focus on making the hotels very artsy, very local with the products that they choose and the things that they display and the activities that they offer. And I think they do a really good job creating a community and a social atmosphere for the guests to kind of host them through their employees. And so I think it's really connected, where the employees are very local, allowed to be themselves, and encouraged to make connections with the guests. And they have a bit of a laid back management style when it comes to a lot of things. And I think that translates well for them into what creates this kind of hosted atmosphere, because employees feel comfortable and encouraged to actually spend time connecting with guests in the best way that they think they can through their own individual personality. How would I describe the road trip? I mean, I think it was so many things actually. I mean, it was a local immersion into Costa Rica and Panama. It was an immersion into the community that Selina creates amongst their guests and their associates. And it was very family driven for our group in particular. I mean, we had, I think, some of the best connections just amongst our group. So I think that was really the most valuable of this trip, was experiencing the connection amongst us while understanding the local culture around Panama and Costa Rica and the Selina products along the way. So I was very excited to have been selected. I know it was a really competitive process. I think for me, there were kind of two parts. One was I was living the lifestyle of a traveler and a digital nomad at the time that I had applied. And so I think that fit really well with who Selina appeals to for their market. And then I think the fact that I work in hospitality, especially with a focus on hotels and am from the US, was really interesting for Selina, because they're obviously about to start a pretty big expansion into the US. So I think they were interested in having me learn about the brand and have some conversation during the road trip with the other travelers, but also with some of the Selina employees that we met along the way, to discuss what that would look like as they move forward into the US. But my biggest hope was, I think, was really interested in meeting the other travelers, and that the hope that we would all be really like-minded and get along, which worked out perfectly. And then the other being just learning more about the Selina brand as a whole and some of their future ambitions. I was pleasantly surprised at how much I was able to do on this trip. Through early mornings, which is not my favorite time of the day, to late evenings of going out and exploring the town. And I think a lot of connections happened at different parts of those days across different personality types, because some people were early risers, some people would go to bed later. So I feel like I got a good amount of time with each different personality type. There is one regret though, because when we did the zip lining, Jose and I were the first ones to finish, and we had gone to the free fall swing, and we wimped out and we didn't do it. But then we found out that everybody had come after us and had all pretty much done it. So I think that was one regret. The camaraderie and friendships with the other travelers that we had was just incredible. So that will continue. I think we'll be able to meet down the road, maybe help Selina with some of their future efforts too, by being a really strong group that we've created. And then I think for me too, kind of on the professional side, it was really good to learn about the Selina product, about what the hotels operate as on a day-to-day basis in these different locations in Costa Rica and Panama. And I think if there could be some opportunity as Selina comes to the U.S. to maybe contribute to their growth. Even if not, it was great exposure for me to understand this new segment that nonetheless is going to be coming to the U.S. and has already become a bit of a movement domestically for us with other brands that are entering this space. So for me, I love the beach. That's my happy place. And thankfully we went to a lot of beach locations. I would say my couple favorite were Playa Venao first, which was in Panama, because it was right on the beach and they did an incredible job. I think one of the best of all the hotels we went to of creating that community family atmosphere at the hotel. And so it was great to be on the beach, but then it was even better to be hosted really the whole time by the staff and the family there. They had farm to table food. They had really unique accommodations with kind of these thatch roofed huts and like loft style apartments. So I thought that was a really unique property and a really unique place that was still a very quiet city and part of the country. So I liked it there. And then kind of alternatively, I liked Tamarindo and Jaco and Santa Teresa for really similar reasons, in the fact that they were all on the beach, but they had a little bit more of a town to walk around in and have some nightlife and additional restaurants and things like that. So I like those maybe a little bit more because I feel like I could spend a longer amount of time there by having some of the other retail options. So those were my other three favorite after Playa Venao. I've really liked experiencing Marcella. She's an incredible leader and took on a really huge responsibility in hosting this group and managing a group and everything that comes with that. And then doing it for 15 days, which is a very long time to do so, while interacting and planning with all of the Selina properties that we went to. I found a lot of interest in watching her manage the group and lead the group, but then also do the same at the property level, and also help us, connect with each other and have one-on-ones throughout. So I thought that was a really enlightening experience for me, just to see how she managed all this, and I think she did a phenomenal job, but was really interesting to think about and to pay attention to on the trip.